Have you ever felt trapped in a life that looks good on paper but feels empty inside? Maybe you have a steady job, a regular paycheck, a comfortable routine. But deep down, there's a voice whispering, is this all there is? Maybe you had big dreams once. Maybe you still do. But every morning you silence that voice with the same excuse. I'll start tomorrow. Right now, I need the security. If you've ever chosen comfort over your dreams, if you've ever stayed in a situation because leaving felt too scary, then this story is for you. Because today I'm going to show you what comfort really costs. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why the most dangerous place you can be is exactly where you feel safe. Stay with me until the end, because I'll share the exact moment that changed everything for one man. And it might just change everything for you too. In a small town called Riverside, about 2 hours from any major city, there lived a 34-year-old man named Daniel. Daniel worked at Henderson Insurance Company, the biggest employer in town. He had worked there for 12 years, ever since he graduated from college. Daniel's life followed a perfect pattern. Monday through Friday, his alarm rang at 6:30 a.m. He showered, dressed in his business casual clothes, grabbed coffee and a bagel, and drove the same route to the office. He arrived at 8:15 a.m., sat at the same desk, answered emails, processed insurance claims, attended meetings, and left at 5 p.m. His salary was $52,000 a year. Not rich, but enough. Enough for his one-bedroom apartment. Enough for his car payment. Enough for weekend dinners at the same 3 restaurants he always visited. Enough to pay his bills with a little left over. From the outside, Daniel had a good life. Stable. Predictable. Safe. But inside, Daniel was dying. Every night, Daniel sat in his apartment and felt the same heavy feeling in his chest. A feeling he couldn't name. Not sadness exactly. Not depression. Just emptiness. He would scroll through social media and see his college friends. Marcus had started a coffee shop in Portland. It struggled at first, but now it was thriving. Sarah had quit her corporate job to become a travel photographer. She posted pictures from Thailand, Morocco, Italy. And Daniel? Daniel posted nothing. Because what would he post? Here's my desk. Same as yesterday. Same as tomorrow. The truth that haunted Daniel most was this: he had a dream once. A real dream. In college, Daniel had studied business, but his passion was woodworking. He spent every weekend in his father's garage, building furniture. Tables, chairs, bookshelves. He loved the smell of wood, the feeling of creating something with his hands, the satisfaction of seeing raw materials become something beautiful. His best work was a dining table he made in his senior year. Dark walnut wood, hand-carved legs, smooth as glass. His girlfriend at the time said it was museum quality. His father said, "Son, you could build a business doing this." Daniel had planned to do exactly that. Graduate, work for a year to save money, then open his own furniture workshop. He even had a name picked out, Riverside Woodworks. But then graduation came. And with it, reality. Student loans. Rent. Car insurance. His father got sick and needed help with medical bills. Daniel needed income immediately. Henderson Insurance was hiring. The job was boring, but it paid well. Daniel told himself, just for a year. I'll save money, help Dad, then start my workshop. That was 12 years ago. The first year became 2 years. 2 became 5. 5 became 12. Daniel stopped building furniture. His tools sat in a storage unit, gathering dust. He told himself he was too tired after work. Too busy on weekends. He'd start again, someday. But the real reason was different. Daniel had become comfortable. His job was boring, yes. But it was easy. He knew exactly what to expect every day. No risks. No uncertainty. No chance of failure. The salary wasn't exciting, but it was guaranteed. Every 2 weeks, that paycheck arrived. He could plan his life around it. And slowly, without realizing it, Daniel had built a golden cage. The bars were made of routine, predictability, and the fear of losing what little he had. His co-workers were the same. Janet had worked there for 18 years. She talked constantly about retiring early and traveling the world. Just 5 more years, she always said. She'd been saying that for 8 years. Marcus in accounting had a novel he'd been about to finish for 6 years. He worked on it during lunch breaks but never seemed to make progress. Everyone at Henderson Insurance had a dream they'd postponed. Everyone had chosen comfort over courage. And every year, Daniel looked in the mirror and saw himself aging. Gray hairs appearing. Lines around his eyes. His body getting softer from sitting all day. His spirit getting dimmer from doing work that didn't matter. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday in October. Daniel was sitting at his desk, processing a claim, when his phone rang. It was his sister, Amy. "Daniel," her voice was shaking. "It's Dad." His father had collapsed at home. Heart attack. The ambulance was taking him to Memorial Hospital. Daniel drove 90 miles per hour to get there. His heart pounding, his hands gripping the wheel, thinking, "Please, God. Not yet. I'm not ready." At the hospital, the doctor said his father was stable but needed surgery. "He's lucky," the doctor said. "Another 10 minutes and we'd be having a different conversation." Daniel sat beside his father's bed. His father was sleeping, tubes and wires connected to his body. He looked old. Fragile. For the first time, Daniel realized his father wouldn't live forever. When his father woke up, he saw Daniel and smiled weakly. "Hey, son." "Dad, don't talk. Just rest." But his father shook his head. "Daniel, I need to tell you something. I've been thinking about it for years, but I never said it. I'm saying it now." Daniel leaned closer. "You're wasting your life." The words hit Daniel like a punch to the chest. His father continued, his voice weak but firm. 12 years ago, you had a dream. You were going to build furniture. Beautiful furniture. You had the talent. The passion. I was so proud. Dad, I had to help you. The medical bills. I know, and I'm grateful. But Daniel, those bills are paid. They've been paid for 8 years. You stayed at that insurance job because it was safe, not because you had to. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. His father gripped his hand. "Son, I'm 67 years old. I just had a heart attack. And you know what my biggest regret is? I worked 40 years at the factory. Good job. Good benefits. But I never took a risk. I never tried to build something of my own. I was too afraid to fail. And now, I'm running out of time." His voice broke. "Don't be like me, Daniel. Don't wait until you're lying in a hospital bed to realize you wasted your one precious life choosing comfort over dreams." Daniel couldn't speak. He just held his father's hand and cried. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He sat in his apartment, staring at the wall, replaying his father's words over and over. "You're wasting your life." The words burned because they were true. For the first time in years, Daniel let himself feel the full weight of his regret. All the furniture he never built. All the customers he never served. All the satisfaction he never felt. He pulled out his laptop and searched for how to start a woodworking business. He read articles, watched videos. His heart started beating faster. The old excitement returning. But then, the fear came rushing back. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? I'm 34, I'm too old to start over. I have no savings. What if customers don't come? What if I'm not good enough anymore? By 2 a.m., Daniel closed his laptop. This is stupid, he told himself. I have a good job. I should be grateful. The next morning, he went back to work. Same routine, same desk, same emptiness. But something had changed. Now, every time he sat at that desk, he heard his father's voice, "You're wasting your life." 2 weeks later, Daniel did something small but significant. He drove to the storage unit where his tools were kept. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. Dust covered everything. The smell of old wood filled the air. He picked up one of his chisels and held it. The handle fit his hand perfectly. On a shelf in the corner, he found it. The walnut dining table he'd built in college. 12 years old, but still beautiful. He ran his hand across the smooth surface and remembered how proud he'd felt when he finished it. "I made this," he whispered. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something other than emptiness. He felt possibility. That weekend, he cleared out his apartment's small garage. He brought some of his tools home, and on Saturday morning, he started building. Just a simple step stool. Nothing fancy. But as he measured, cut, and sanded, something inside him came alive. His hands remembered. His heart remembered. When he finished the stool Sunday evening, he stood back and looked at it. It wasn't perfect. He was rusty. But it was real. He had created something. For the first time in 12 years, Daniel felt like himself. Daniel started building in his garage every weekend. Small projects at first. A bookshelf. A coffee table. A bench. His neighbors noticed. One Saturday, an older man named Walter stopped by. Walter was 68, retired, and lived 3 houses down. "That's beautiful work," Walter said, admiring a side table Daniel had just finished. "Thank you," Daniel said. "You sell these?" "No, just a hobby." Walter looked at him carefully. "A hobby? Son, this is professional quality. Why aren't you selling?" Daniel shrugged. "I don't know. I guess I'm afraid no one would buy them. And I have a job. This is just something I do on weekends." Walter sat down on Daniel's porch steps. "Can I tell you a story?" Daniel nodded. 30 years ago, I worked at an accounting firm. Good job, steady pay. I hated every minute of it. But I had a wife, 2 kids, a mortgage. I couldn't quit. But I had a passion, photography. Every weekend, I took pictures, landscapes, portraits, events. People told me I was talented. They said I should go professional. And did you? Walter shook his head sadly. No. I was too afraid. What if I failed? What if I couldn't support my family? So I stayed at the accounting firm for 30 years. I retired at 65. He looked at Daniel with eyes full of regret. You know what happened? 2 years into retirement, I started a photography business. Just for fun. No pressure. And you know what? It took off. People loved my work. I could have been doing this for 30 years, but I waited until it was safe. Until I didn't need the money. Walter stood up. Daniel, don't wait until you're old and safe to chase your dream. Do it now, while you still have energy, while failure still won't kill you. Because let me tell you a secret. The worst prison is a comfortable one, because you never try to escape. That night, Daniel made a decision. He sat down with a notebook and wrote out a plan. Not a perfect plan, not a guaranteed plan, but a real plan. Step 1, keep his job at Henderson Insurance, but start selling furniture on weekends. Step 2, build a website, post pictures on social media, take custom orders. Step 3, save every dollar from furniture sales. Step 4, when he saved $15,000, quit his job and go full-time. It was terrifying, it was risky, but for the first time in 12 years, it felt right. The next morning, he built a simple website, riversidewoodworks.com. He posted pictures of his work. He shared it on Facebook, Instagram, and local community groups. Within a week, he got his first order. A woman named Carol wanted a custom bookshelf for her daughter's room. She offered $400. Daniel's hands shook as he read the message. This was real. Someone was willing to pay for his work. He built that bookshelf with more care than anything he'd built in years. He delivered it personally. Carol's face lit up when she saw it. This is exactly what I wanted, she said. You're so talented. Daniel drove home with $400 in his pocket and tears in his eyes. Not because of the money, because someone valued what he created. The next 6 months were the hardest of Daniel's life. He worked at Henderson Insurance from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then he came home, ate a quick dinner, and worked in his garage until midnight. Weekends were entirely devoted to furniture orders. He was exhausted. Some days, he wanted to quit. Some nights, he lay in bed thinking, this is too hard. Maybe I should just accept my comfortable life. But every time he thought about quitting, he remembered two things: his father's words in the hospital, and the feeling he got when a customer saw their finished piece and smiled. Orders increased slowly. 1 became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became 12 per month. Daniel saved every dollar. He cut his expenses ruthlessly. No restaurants. No new clothes. No unnecessary purchases. Every extra dollar went into his freedom fund. His co-workers at Henderson Insurance noticed the change. He had bags under his eyes. He looked tired. Daniel, you okay? Janet asked one day. I'm building something, he said simply. Building what? My future. After 8 months, Daniel checked his savings account. $15,000. He'd hit his goal. It was time. On a Monday morning, Daniel walked into his manager's office at Henderson Insurance. I need to give my 2 weeks' notice, he said. His manager looked shocked. Daniel, you've been here 12 years. Is something wrong? Are you going to a competitor? No, Daniel said. I'm starting my own business. Woodworking. His manager stared at him. Woodworking? Daniel, that's a huge risk. You have a stable job here. Benefits. Retirement. I know, Daniel said. But I'd rather risk failure doing something I love than guarantee mediocrity doing something I hate. Word spread quickly through the office. Some people thought he was crazy. Janet said, Daniel, you're throwing away security. What if it doesn't work? But others were different. Marcus from accounting pulled him aside. I've been writing the same novel for 6 years, he said quietly. I'm too afraid to finish it because then I'd have to submit it. And what if it gets rejected? Marcus looked at Daniel with something like envy. You're actually doing it. You're brave. I'm not brave, Daniel said. I'm just more afraid of regret than I am of failure. Daniel's last day at Henderson Insurance was both terrifying and liberating. He cleaned out his desk. He said goodbye to coworkers. He walked out of that building for the last time. And then, he was free. The first month of Riverside Woodworks was chaos. Daniel had to learn everything: marketing, accounting, customer service, inventory management, things they never taught in business school. He made mistakes. A table order got delayed. A customer complained about a finish. He undercharged for labor and barely broke even on some projects. But something incredible happened. Daniel was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. He woke up excited to work. He went to bed tired but satisfied. He was building something real, something meaningful. Orders grew. His reputation spread. A local interior designer started referring clients to him. A furniture store in the next town asked to carry his pieces. 6 months after leaving Henderson Insurance, Daniel hired his first employee, a young man named Jake who wanted to learn woodworking. 1 year after leaving, Riverside Woodworks was bringing in $6,000 per month. More than Daniel ever made at his insurance job. But more importantly, Daniel felt alive. 2 years after leaving Henderson Insurance, Daniel stood in his new workshop. Not a garage. A real workshop. 2,000 square feet. Professional equipment. 3 employees. Orders booked out for 4 months. Riverside Woodworks had become exactly what he'd dreamed of in college. His father, fully recovered from his heart attack, visited the workshop. He walked slowly through the space, running his hands over the finished pieces. Tears filled his eyes. "I'm so proud of you, son," he said. "Dad, thank you for telling me the truth that day in the hospital. You saved my life." His father hugged him. "You saved your own life, Daniel. I just reminded you that you had one to save." That evening, Daniel received a message on Instagram. It was from Janet, his old co-worker from Henderson Insurance. "Daniel, I've been watching your journey. You inspired me. I'm retiring next month. Not in 5 years. Next month. I'm going to travel the world like I always said I would. Life's too short to wait for someday. Thank you for showing me that." Daniel smiled. His risk hadn't just changed his life. It had given others permission to change theirs. My friend, Daniel's story is not unique. It's the story of every person who chose courage over comfort, who chose meaning over security, who chose to live instead of just exist. Here's what Daniel learned, and what you need to know. Comfort is not your friend. It feels safe. It feels good. But comfort is where dreams go to die. Every day you choose comfort over courage, you're choosing slow death over real life. The cage you build is the hardest to escape. The longer you stay in a comfortable situation, the harder it becomes to leave. Your lifestyle expands to match your income. Your fear grows, your excuses multiply. Leave now, while you still can. Regret weighs more than risk. Daniel was afraid of failing, but he was more afraid of being 67 years old, lying in a hospital bed, realizing he'd wasted his one precious life. The pain of regret is permanent. The pain of risk is temporary. You don't need permission. You need a decision. Daniel didn't wait for the perfect moment. He didn't wait for a sign from the universe. He just decided, and the moment he decided, the path appeared. Your dream won't wait forever. Every year you delay, you get older. Your energy decreases. Your responsibilities increase. Your fear grows. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. So here's your challenge, the same challenge that changed Daniel's life. Tonight, before you go to sleep, answer this question honestly. If you died tomorrow, what would be your biggest regret? Write it down. Look at it. Feel the weight of it. That regret, that's your dream calling you. That's your real life trying to break through the comfortable prison you've built. Then, tomorrow morning, take one small action toward that dream. Not a perfect action, not a huge leap, just one small step. Research, make a call, send an email, buy a tool, register a domain name, write the first page, post the first video. Do something that moves you 1 inch closer to the life you actually want. Because here's the truth Daniel discovered, the life you want doesn't exist in your comfort zone. It exists on the other side of fear. And yes, you might fail. You probably will fail, at least at first. But you know what's worse than failing? Succeeding at living a life that doesn't matter to you. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not too unprepared. You are exactly where Daniel was. At a crossroads. One path leads back to comfort, routine, and slow regret. The other path leads to uncertainty, growth, and the possibility of a life that actually means something. Which path will you choose? If this story moved you, if you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, hit that like button right now as your commitment. Share this with someone who's stuck in their own golden cage. And drop a comment telling me, what's the one dream you've been postponing? Let's hold each other accountable. Let's build the lives we actually want. Remember Daniel's words, I'd rather risk failure doing something I love than guarantee mediocrity doing something I hate. Your comfortable life is killing you slowly. Your dream life is waiting. The question is, how much longer will you make it wait?